I had barely stepped out of the taxi when I saw them on my porch, my father and older brother smirking like they'd been waiting to deliver a blow. My sea bag still slung over my shoulder, boots dusty from Okinawa. My father said it. "You're homeless now, no hello, no welcome home." "What are you talking about?" I asked. My brother snorted into his beer. "We sold your house, sis. Try to keep up." They laughed at their daughter and sister coming home from overseas to find everything gone. My father pointed lazily at the door. "Your brother needed help. Family sacrifices for family. You weren't here." Then he added the part that told me everything. "You Marines bounce around anyway. What difference does a house make?" I smiled, a slow, steady smile that made them frown. "What's so funny?" my father snapped. "The house you sold was actually—" But I stopped, because none of this was an accident. They planned it, just not as well as they thought. 3 months earlier, I'd been in Okinawa halfway through a 6-month rotation. I'd owned that house for 8 years, bought it myself after my second deployment, renovated it room by room. Every time I called home, things felt off. My father sounded irritated. My brother Chad had moved back in after losing another job. Once I heard someone yell, "Did she send the money yet?" And the call disconnected. 2 weeks before homecoming, I got a text from my father, "Call us before you come home." Duty hours were crazy that week. By the time I could call, it rang to voicemail twice. My flight was booked. I'd be home soon enough. And then I was standing in my driveway realizing they had sold the roof over my head. My brother lifted his beer like he was celebrating. "Don't look so shocked." Dad had power of attorney. "Easy process. You'll get over it." My jaw tightened, but the smile didn't leave my face. "Is that what he told you?" My father's eyebrows knitted. "What's that supposed to mean?" I didn't answer, not yet. What they didn't know was that the house they sold wasn't what they thought it was. I set my sea bag down and walked toward the porch like nothing could touch me. They thought I was calm because I was weak. They had no idea I was calm because I was already 10 steps ahead. Marines don't come home hoping for the best. We come home prepared for the worst. I stood on the porch while they stared, waiting for me to cry or break, but nothing came. Just a long, bad, heavy silence that made my father shift uncomfortably and made my brother tap his beer can nervously. Finally, my father cleared his throat. "Well, aren't you going to say something?" I tilted my head, studying him. The man who used to wake up at 5 a.m. to make me breakfast before school. When did he stop being that man? When did I stop being his daughter and become his backup bank account? "When did you sell it?" I asked, voice steady. "3 weeks ago," he said. "It was the right thing to do. Your brother needed help." Always needs, always about Chad, always his next crisis. "And you didn't think to call me?" He scoffed. "You were overseas, busy. You Marines have your heads in the clouds." "That's interesting," I said, "because I called every week." Chad rolled his eyes. "Oh, here we go. Did you know?" I turned to him. "Did you actually sit there and watch him sign away my home?" He shrugged. "Dad said it was fine. I believed him. Why wouldn't I?" I walked across the yard, letting the cold Washington air clear my head. Behind me, my father called out, "We put the money to good use. Your brother's debt is handled." Debt. Chad wasn't the type who paid off debt. Chad created debt like it was a hobby. I walked back toward them. "You two want to tell me the whole truth, or do you want me to find it myself?" My father's jaw tightened. Chad crushed his beer can. "What truth? You're blowing this way out of proportion." "Really? Because when I left, the house was paid off. For you to sell it fast, you'd have needed cash buyers. That means desperation." "Whose desperation?" Chad's eyes flickered. "My brother's," I said softly. "So let's hear it. Gambling, drugs, loan shark. Which was it?" My father exploded. "Stop interrogating your brother like he's some criminal." "I'm interrogating because my house is gone." "You were gone," but he shot back. "Always Marine Corps this, Marine Corps that. You think you're better than everyone." "I've been serving this country for 13 years," I said, "and every assignment, I came home to this house. My house, the one thing I worked for." He waved dismissively. "You'll buy another one. You make good money." I felt something inside me shift. I saw them clearly. Dad wasn't helping Chad because he was kind. He needed someone to need him. And Chad never apologized because he never had to. They'd taken something from me because they assumed I was strong enough to lose it. That's the thing about being the strong one. People assume you don't feel the knife when they twist it. Then the front door opened. A woman stepped out, blonde hair, sweatpants, holding a coffee mug. "Who are you?" I asked. She smiled lightly. "I'm Emily, the new owner." My father winced. The house wasn't just sold, it was closed, final, complete. "Congratulations," I said. "Did they tell you everything?" She blinked. I looked at my father and brother. Their faces paled. I turned to Emily. "Did they tell you that the house you bought isn't actually in their name?" Emily blinked. "What do you mean? The paperwork—" "I'm sure the paperwork looked official," I said. "But paperwork only tells one side of the story." My father's face flushed red. They both knew I wasn't bluffing. "When you bought this house, who handled the sale?" She glanced at my father. "A man named Benson. He said he was helping your family." Benson, of course, an old acquaintance of my father's who operated in the gray areas. "Did you sign anything with an attorney present?" She shook her head. "He said it wasn't necessary. The family wanted it quick. Quick sales, quick transfers, quick lies." My father stepped forward. "Maria, enough. You're upsetting her." I turned slowly. "You sold her a house you had no right to sell. You stole from me and put her in the middle of it." "You weren't here," he said, Dad. "We handled things the best we could. Or the fastest way to clean up another one of Chad's disasters." Chad stiffened. "It wasn't a disaster. A misunderstanding that cost thousands? Or tens of thousands? Sports betting, poker, loan sharks?" He looked away. I turned to Emily. "How long have you been here?" "A week," she said softly. "Your father said you were overseas and wanted the money for something else. He said you'd agreed." This wasn't just betrayal. It was a full-blown scam carried out while I was halfway across the world. "Emily, I'm sorry you were dragged into this, but they didn't have the legal right to sell this house." I pulled out a folded document. "This house was purchased using a VA home loan. That means certain protections apply. Selling it without me present, without my consent, without proper procedure, that's a federal issue, not a family issue." Emily's eyes widened. My father's face went pale. Chad's bravado evaporated. "Power of attorney gives temporary rights to handle bills, repairs, emergencies. It does not give the right to sell federally backed property without filing authorizations, none of which were done." "Are you saying the sale is invalid?" Emily pressed a hand to her chest. "I'm saying this isn't what you think it is, and you'll need legal help to sort it out." My father stepped closer, voice shaking. "Maria, don't do this. We're family." "That didn't stop you," I said. "Family didn't matter when you needed quick cash." "It was for your brother," he shouted. "And what about me? When did I stop being your child? When did I become expendable?" For the first time, he had no answer. Emily spoke. "What do we do now?" "You get a lawyer. Tell them everything. Stop speaking to my father outside official channels." She nodded slowly. My father pointed at me. "You're ruining everything." I shook my head. "No, you ruined everything the minute you treated my service as an opportunity instead of a sacrifice." Chad muttered something. I was already stepping off the porch, lifting my sea bag. My father yelled, "Where are you going?" "Home," as I said. "You don't have one," Chad shouted. I turned back. "That is what you think." They had no idea how much trouble they'd created. No idea what the next days would bring. Fear grows best when it's left unexplained. I checked into a cheap motel and pulled out the folder I'd been carrying since Okinawa. Paperwork, notes, screenshots, emails, everything I'd gathered when the truth started taking shape. I remember the first moment it truly hit me. Standing on a balcony in Okinawa, my phone buzzed with an automated alert, property ownership update. An ownership change had been processed. My name was still on the house, but another name was added. Incomplete, like someone had started a transfer but hadn't finished. I called my father, no answer, called again. Voicemail. I texted, no reply. Tried Chad, nothing. I asked a JAG officer on base for advice the next day. He asked one question: "Who has your power of attorney?" When I said my father's name, something in his expression shifted. He'd seen this before. "Trust is good," he said, "but oversight is better." He showed me which forms to submit to request full transaction logs from the county. A week later, the file came through. My father had signed the first authorization 2 days after telling me he loved how peaceful the house felt. He'd signed the second after texting me a heart emoji. The third, the one allowing the property to move forward, on the same day I'd called and told him I missed home. Chad's bank account was one of the destinations for the wired money. I sat on my bunk staring at the screen. Later that night, I called my father from an office phone. His voice was cheerful. "Hey, sweetheart, everything okay?" I swallowed hard. "Did you sell my house?" The pause told me everything. Then he said, "Before you get upset," I hung up. Over the next days, whenever he called back, I let it ring. I wasn't ready to hear excuses. But what slowly began building inside me was a plan. Good revenge is quiet. It breathes, it waits, it watches. When my deployment ended, I made no announcement. I booked the earliest flight home, landed before sunrise, rented a car, and stopped by the county recorder's office as soon as they opened. I spent 2 hours with a clerk who had seen enough messy family disputes to spot trouble. When I walked out with the full packet of documents, I knew my father and brother had legally cornered themselves. They just didn't know it yet. That night in the motel, I laid out every page, every signature, every timestamp. I highlighted lines, circled dates, cross-referenced entries. The betrayal hurt, but the clarity felt like air filling my lungs. They thought they'd beaten me. They forgot that consequences are patient. The next morning, I drove back before sunrise. Emily stepped outside looking like she hadn't slept. "Morning," she said softly. "I didn't expect to see you. We have a lot to sort out." She talked to her husband. They'd get a lawyer. She hadn't told my father. She sat on the porch step, trembling. This was supposed to be our fresh start, our first real home. Her voice cracked. I felt a pang of guilt, not because I'd caused this, but because the damage spilled onto someone who didn't deserve it. I sat beside her. "You didn't do anything wrong, Emily. You bought a house. You trusted the people selling it." I gave her copies of my documents. "These are for your attorney. They outline everything. This is going to get messy, isn't it?" "Yes, but messy doesn't mean hopeless." The front door swung open. My father stepped out. "Maria, what are you doing here?" "Talking," I said calmly. He pointed at me like I was a trespasser. "Not without my permission." I stared at him. "Your permission? That's interesting, considering none of this belongs to you." "It doesn't belong to you either," he shouted. Emily flinched. I stood. "It never belonged to you. Power of attorney isn't ownership, Dad. It's responsibility, and you abused it. I did what I had to do. Your brother was in danger. People are always after him. That's not an excuse to steal from me. You always judge him," he barked. "You always think you're better because you're a Marine. But he's my son too, and he needed help. And I didn't? I served for 13 years. I sent money home. I kept this family afloat more times than either of you will admit. When did I become the one who didn't matter?" He hesitated. Intent didn't undo damage. Chad stepped out. "Is this still about the house?" I looked at him, a man who'd never been told no, never held accountable. "Yeah, it's still about the house." He sighed dramatically. "Jesus, sis, relax. You can rebuild." "No, it's not the end of mine, but it might be the end of yours." "Is that a threat?" "No, it's a prediction." A car stopped. Mr. Halpern, a retired Navy neighbor. "Everything all right?" He recognized me. "Staff Sergeant Lawson, didn't know you were home." I explained what happened. When I finished, he whistled. "That's not good. You call the sheriff yet?" My father spun. "No one needs to call anyone." Emily shook her head. "No, we won't. And I'll be contacting the VA legal office," I added. My father's face collapsed. "Maria, please don't do this. We're family." I looked at him. "I know, that's why this hurts. I made a mistake. You made several, and now we deal with them." I spent the morning in the sheriff's building. Lieutenant Donahue reviewed my documents. VA-backed property, unauthorized POA use, rushed sale, no oversight. This isn't small, this is a mess. "I know. I'll need to send this to the county prosecutor. Once we start, there's no taking it back. It will be public, messy. It will destroy your father's reputation and possibly more." Lieutenant, he destroyed my trust. He used my deployment to take something I spent years building. If I let that go because it's uncomfortable, then every service member with family issues becomes vulnerable. He nodded. All right, we'll start today. Emily called later. Her attorney confirmed the sale was invalid. She had grounds to pursue legal action against Benson and my father. I didn't want any of this, she said. I just wanted a house. I know, and you'll get one. But this one needs to be fixed first. Around 8 p.m., my phone rang. Dad, I answered. He didn't yell. His voice was small, brittle. Maria, the sheriff's office came by. I know. They said you filed a report. I did. You didn't have to do that. I gave you every chance to be honest. You weren't. I made a mistake. You made a series of choices, and each one hurt someone. It wasn't supposed to hurt you. Dad, it was always going to hurt me. You sold my home. Long pause. Can we talk in person? Yes, but not alone. Okay, tomorrow morning, your house. My house, I repeated. I'll be there. The next morning, Emily was there with her attorney. The sheriff's deputy arrived, then my father and Chad. We stood in a loose circle, no shouting, just quiet tension. Dad cleared his throat. I didn't realize it was illegal. I swear, you didn't want to realize there's a difference. The deputy explained the next steps. Statements, temporary restrictions, forthcoming investigation, likelihood of charges. My father's face went pale. He looked at me, eyes watery. I never meant for it to come to this. I know, but you brought us here. I walked to the front door and placed my hand on it. The paint felt cool, familiar. I didn't open it. Not yet. But I stood there long enough to feel something returning. A sense of home. When everyone left, I stayed in the yard. My father and brother drove off without a word. I finally opened the front door. Emily had rearranged furniture, hung pictures, but underneath I could still see the shadow of my own life. Homes change, but they remember. When I walked out, my father was waiting by his truck. Can we talk? Something in his voice, humility, exhaustion, made me pause. I netted he looked older. I thought I was helping him. I thought if I didn't step in, he'd lose everything. You didn't step in, you stepped over me. He bowed his head. I know, I don't expect you to forgive me, I just need you to understand. I was scared of losing him. Sam, he's a mess, Maria, he always has been, but he's all I have left, and I didn't want to lose you either, but I kept choosing wrong. I didn't soften, not yet, but I listened. Your mother was the strong one. You got that from her. After she died, I didn't know how to hold things together. Chet needed me more, or it felt like he did. You were always fine. You were always the one who made it. I thought you wouldn't break. I didn't, but you broke something in me. His eyes filled. I know. And you broke something in yourself, too. You just don't see it yet. He covered his face. I don't know how to fix this. You can't fix all of it, but you can start by being honest and letting the consequences happen. I don't want to go to jail. You may not, but you may have to answer for what you did. He nodded slowly. If that's what it takes to make this right, I'll do it. For the first time since I returned, I believed him. He started to turn away, then stopped. I'm proud of you. You I know I never say it right, but I am. I didn't respond right away. The words were good, but they were late. Still, they were something. Take care of yourself and take responsibility. He nodded, got in his truck, and drove off slowly. Emily came outside, hands in her coat pockets. Are you all right? I think so. Are you? We will be. It'll take time, but we'll figure it out. I'm glad. No matter what happens, I want you to land on your feet, she said. You too. The next weeks unfolded slowly. Attorneys met, papers were filed. Benson disappeared for 2 days until the sheriff found him. Chad attended meetings with a public defender. My father gave a 3-hour statement that left him pale and shaken. But he didn't back out. He faced what he had done. After legal wrangling, the sale was officially voided. Emily and her husband were reimbursed through the county's emergency fraud fund while pursuing compensation from Benson. My house remained mine, though it would be months before everything settled. The day I finally stepped inside as the official owner again, I walked through each room slowly, feeling every memory flood back. This time there was something else, peace. Not perfect peace, but a quiet acceptance. I stood in the middle of the living room and whispered, I'm home. But the truth was bigger than that. I wasn't just home. I was whole again in a way betrayal couldn't break, and forgiveness didn't erase but softened, like something sharp finally losing its edge. If there's anything I want you to take from my story, it's this: family can fail you, people can disappoint you. The ones you love most can be the ones who hurt you deepest, but you do not lose your worth because someone else lost their way. You do not stop deserving a place in this world because someone tried to take it from you. And sometimes the hardest journeys bring the clearest lessons.